Welcome back to another live and amplified Indie Fusion podcast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet, and we are back at it again with another basic podcast. Tonight, we have a very special guest joining us. We have Danny Spiro. How's it going today, man?
Going well. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We're kind of on a weird stretch right now because I just did a whole bunch of podcasts at a music festival. So it's like I'm trying to keep the groove going, but I
Yeah.
also, I'm pretty freaking tired, to be honest with
Oh,
you.
I'm,
And
I'm
it's just
sure
so. How's everything going in Nashville?
we're going well, man. We're super busy. Whether it's writing or the studio or on stage, it's just been chaotic structure, which
Fair,
I thrive in.
fair. Hey, chaos and busy, they go hand in hand, don't they?
They really do. And if you have a little bit of structure in it, it ends up being okay.
Right, right, right. So you're originally from Bama, correct?
Yeah, Mobile, Alabama, down by the Gulf Coast.
Awesome. I drive through Mobile all the freaking time.
Really?
Yep. I live in Central Texas. My dad lives in South Florida,
Oh,
and when I get a hair up my ass to go see him,
okay. Yeah.
I drive. So I drive right across Mobile Bay.
Oh yeah, man. I miss the water. That's one thing that when I moved to a landlocked state, I went, oh no. You're telling me there's no beach? There's no salt water? What am I gonna
Right.
do with myself?
As I say, Percy Priest doesn't do it for you.
I'll tell you, Percy Priest is nice.
Yeah.
I'll give the Tennesseans that. It is beautiful out there. The couple times that I get to go, it really is amazing.
Nice. I often tell people when I ask that question, because I have a lot of musicians that are from the coast, whether it's East Coast, West Coast, or even down into to Florida and the Alabama, Southern Alabama, and all that. If you want really good lakes, go up into Missouri, go up into Kentucky. Some of the best lakes around.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's good hunting too. A lot of
Oh
waterfowl.
yeah, oh yeah, for sure, for sure. So you mentioned that you're staying busy. Thriving in the chaos, I guess is the best way to kind of word it. What are you working on right now? Are you writing, recording, release, getting ready to release? Where are you kind of at right now?
Writing and recording. We're getting a few more songs together. We're going to release them a single at a time, probably two or three, and then we're going to release a 4 to 5 song EP. So,
Okay.
and in between that, we're just playing on stages. The team's ready to go. The band's rocking, man. So we're
Nice.
excited to get busy and get back on the road.
Awesome. Awesome. How often are you playing shows right now?
Right now, about 4 or 5 days a week.
Okay, cool.
So,
And are you on a getting ready to take a break here in November, or are you going to play all the way through the rest of the year?
well, it'll slow down a little bit just so we can make sure that we get the songs in and
Mhm.
make sure that our producers we're all on the same page here. But at the same time, I love playing. It's hard for me to stop. It
Yeah,
really is.
yeah,
Our fans are great, so it would be hard to tell them no.
yeah.
I don't want to say no for myself. You know.
Fair, fair, fair. I can feel how addicting it is. It's we started doing a live podcast like in at bars and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I did one show in Nashville, and I was like, okay, got to do this again. I just booked another show in Tucson, and it's like I'm driving 16 hours to go do a one-off show, but it's like it's where the opportunity is. I'm gonna go do it.
Mhm.
And I'm afraid if I do once we get through this one, it's gonna be like, okay, 2025, we got to figure out how to do this at least a couple times a month. So yeah.
It's hard to turn down.
Nice. Who got you into music?
I fell in love with music since I was a kid, and growing up on the Gulf Coast, there are so many different genres that the local bars were playing, or you would hear on the beach, from the Jimmy Buffett sound to the reggae sound to country music. I was a 90s kid, so 90s rock was a big thing for
Hmm.
me. I mean, I hip hop was huge, and then it still is, but was really big in the 90s. Pop was really taking off. So I fell in love with all of it at an early age. And when I finally started learning chords and progressions and learning how to sing, it became an addiction for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And it in that time frame, did you find inspiration in a lot of those like 90s era bands, whether it was I mean, I guess NWA is probably a little bit early 90s, but like NWA and
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
like that, or
Oh yeah, NWA, Tupac, Biggie, and then like into the 2000s, like DMX
Yeah.
and Young Jeezy. That was a big one for me. I loved Young Jeezy. Um, Little Wayne. I
Yep.
loved all those guys growing up.
Oh yeah. I I just remember because I was born in 87, so like the 90s was like the prime years.
Oh yeah.
And I just remember when like all that when I really started paying attention and it's like, oh, there's so much good music right now. You could turn on any radio station and it was a top 40 station, even though it was like an R&B station or a hip hop station or whatever it was. So
Oh yeah, and that was when you could take an album and listen from one to end, and
mhm.
it was incredible, incredible.
Because it had to be.
Oh
It,
yeah,
it had to be.
oh
You
yeah,
know, it was one of those things where because things were so limited as far as space goes, everything had to be listenable. Whereas now it's like you take a swing and a miss, and it's like, I'll get them next week. I'm not worried about it.
yeah, yeah.
So,
It's the game has changed, that's for
yeah.
sure, in a big way.
It in a lot of ways, yeah. But then even then, like if you get too many of them misses in a row, it's like, okay, now you're starting to fall off. You gotta get something. So
Oh yeah, that's like always been a big thing. Of I get a lot of questions of how is today's way of releasing music,
mm,
as is it a pro or a con? And yeah, of course there's cons, but at the same time, as an independent artist, another independent artist, it does make it accessible to finally get into the game. So
yeah.
with the ways that we can self-release now and self-promote. So there are the pros and cons to it, but we are lucky that there's not so much red tape as there used to be
Hmm.
in a way. So
Yeah. There's not as much gatekeeping that's kind of going on.
yeah, and it's nice that fans can search for what
Hmm.
they're really looking for, not being pushed music that they necessarily didn't like, but they have
Hmm.
no choice. So
Yeah, absolutely. So how long have you been in Nashville at this point?
I've been in Nashville for about 8.5 years.
Okay. And have you been playing the entire time you were in Nashville, or is how long have you been like professionally pursuing music?
So playing full time in Nashville started about 6 years ago. The first 2 years I moved here because I had never visited this town. I just took a whim, and that's a long story, but I got here
Okay.
and and I was a server at a restaurant, and this place across from it, this bar would let me play any chance that I could. So I used to just play doubles and then or work doubles and then go play there late at night till 3 in the morning, then go work doubles again. And slowly my name got around and I networked a little more, and that got me to being able to play full time. So
Nice. Nice. And so as many young kids do when they're really hungry for something, it's like they'll put that sleep on the back burner and just go
mhm.
after it. So
Oh yeah, I didn't use that bed much.
no,
So no, no, you're right.
I same boat, same boat, same
I,
freaking boat.
a part of me
I
still doesn't in a way. So I mean,
right.
I'm to be real with you, yeah.
I to be honest with you, I was sleep. I took a 10-minute power nap right before you jumped on, and I just was like, okay, my alarm on my phone's gonna go off when you enter the chat because I got it set up to where it'll email me whenever somebody comes into the chat or into the Zoom room. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna bank on that going off,
Yeah.
and then it went off, and I was like, all right, time to get up. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
That's how you
So
do it in this business, man. You just always got to be sharp and ready to go. And if that takes your 10-minute nap, follow me and take it. So,
right. I
oh,
mean, I feel so much better. Like I just got off the work, and I was like, I need a 10 minute. Like I need to take 10 minutes. Like I'm gonna take it right here. Because if
yeah.
I go lay down, you ain't getting me up. I ain't
Oh,
getting up.
no, I
So
can't do that. In fact,
yeah,
sometimes I know that I can't take naps because I know if I do, I'm not making it. I
right.
wake up at 3 in the morning with 42 missed calls and 17 text messages, and it's bad. So
Hmm.
I've
Yep.
learned to just maybe sometimes run on some fumes.
Right. It happened to me a couple weeks ago. Um I was supposed to so the plan of attack was I was working. I had to work a golf tournament. The original plan was I was going to be inside and it wasn't going to be that big of a deal, except our team no showed. So I had to go play 18 holes of golf. And I
Oh,
haven't golfed in 20 years.
Yeah.
So my boss and a couple of the guys, people I work with, they're like, "Hey, we're going. You're coming with us." And I'm like, "I don't have clubs. No, we got you. Don't worry about it." I'm like, "All right, cool." So 18 holes of golf, and I was supposed to take a trip up to Dallas to go do an interview with another guy, and then
Mhm.
come back at later that night and do another interview with another guy. I go home and I sit down for 15 minutes.
Mhm.
I pass out. It's 4 in the morning. I have 22 missed phone calls, and it's like,
Oh no.
shit.
I know.
Well,
You're like,
okay.
oh no. Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that just your stomach drops
Yep.
and you immediately go into a panic attack?
Yep.
Isn't that a great way to wake up? It's just in mid panic.
I guess, but then I couldn't fall asleep and I just felt
Oh
like
no,
shit.
you're
There.
up.
Yeah.
As you feel like guilty and like you're like, oh man, what did I do?
Right.
Yeah, I've been there.
It's like, oh, do I go to Dallas? He's probably still up. No, it's 4 in the morning. He's not
Or
going to be up. Yeah.
yeah, oh
So,
yeah, oh yeah.
yeah.
Been
But, so you said you're writing, recording, and all that fun stuff. Is there any song right now that's like really got you excited? That's kind of sitting in the back pocket?
Yeah, we're looking at the couple songs that I have released so far are more on the rockier
Hmm.
countryside, the red dirt kind of Texas sound. So we're really looking towards more of a possibly more of a love song
Yes.
to let them know who I am,
Yeah.
as the, yeah. So we're looking for a good love song. So whether that's a heartbreak song or a mushy love song, we're looking for either or. So that's what probably is going to come out next. So, but we're
Nice.
looking forward to it, man, because I'm excited to get more out there of me,
Hmm.
and not just the rockier 90s brooding side of the
Right.
artist. So yeah.
Fair. Fair, fair. Well, and kind of telegraphing the punch a little bit, if depending on how fast you work, it'll probably be out by about Valentine's Day, wouldn't it?
Oh, maybe before that, but that's not a bad idea.
Yeah. Like,
That's
I
not
mean,
a
I
bad
mean, if you're
idea.
looking at like the beginning of the year, it's like hold
Yeah.
on to it for a month. Put it out like a couple
Yeah.
weeks before Valentine's Day.
That's not a bad idea. I,
So,
I may have to do that one. That's,
right, right.
oh yeah.
So I do have to ask, and I'm sure this question will probably sting a little bit.
All right.
I see the jersey in the back. I'm guessing you're a Bama fan.
Where I went to school.
Yes. Did
Hmm.
it hurt extra more being in Nashville when everything went down a couple weeks ago?
So I was at a music festival playing a show in Florida at the time.
Well, is it the toes in sand thing that I
Those
saw
was
on your?
sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So of course I got the text messages from back here in Nashville, and I got to tell you, I am so glad I wasn't there downtown while I was watching that field goal being thrown
Mm,
into Cumberland. I would have had a meltdown. And then on top of that, we lose to Tennessee. So now I'm hearing it from both sides of every
yeah.
Tennessee college.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny because one of the girls I work with, she's from Georgia, so she's a Bulldog fan. And
Yeah.
she's sitting there, she's like, and Georgia's playing Texas. I don't
Well,
know.
they just beat Texas.
Yeah, or yeah, they just beat Texas. And she was like, when they lost to Texas, or when they beat Texas, I just hope, or no, Texas is playing Vanderbilt. That's what it is.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so Georgia just beat Texas, and
Mhm.
Texas is playing Vanderbilt, and she's sitting there. She's like, I just hope that Vanderbilt pulls out another major upset, and just Texas has to sit there and stew in,
I, you never know.
right.
College football has changed in so many ways with the new policies and the way everything works now. And
Hmm.
you just never know which team is going to be on top anymore.
Yeah,
I mean, you got teams like Army and Navy who are incredible right now. Indiana, I think, is undefeated. So
yeah.
we'll
I
see what happens.
I remember when I was really into college football, like Army and Navy weren't even like they had their bowl game or
Mhm.
whatever it was, but that was about it.
Yeah, the Army Navy game was great. It's fun to
Yeah,
watch. You're watching the
yeah,
option and these crazy offenses, but I would have never thought you're looking at undefeated teams here.
right.
I mean, this is wild. I mean, it's
Yeah,
pretty cool for college football, though, in a way.
yeah.
So it lets people enjoy more of the games instead of just watching SEC and saying, okay, this is it.
Yeah, yeah.
Here's
It,
all the playoffs right here. Here's the national championships right here before the playoffs even start. So,
right. It's one of those things where it gives it the college basketball feel,
mhm.
where like when you get into March Madness, you don't know who's going to be in there because there's so many teams that could make the play or make the tournament.
Oh yeah.
And this is kind of giving it that same feel where it's like you got Army, Nate, and like all these undefeated teams that are just like monsters right now. And yeah, it's really cool.
It is pretty cool.
So, what's your going back, kind of looking at your music? What's your schedule looking like for the rest of the year, month? I mean, I guess the month is already over, so.
Yeah, so the rest of the year we're gonna be grinding in that studio.
Mhm.
We're gonna be putting out a bunch of songs. It's we're gonna be very busy doing that. On top of that, we'll our team will still be playing. We'll
Mhm.
still be playing a lot. We're gonna be on the road a few more shows, but for the most part, we're gonna be in the studio grinding. We want to get as many songs as we can done by the end of this year, so we can really focus on touring and more music
Yeah, yeah,
festivals within the next year and having
nice,
all that out for them. So
nice. Do you come out to Texas often, or?
I'm looking forward to it. I've been to Houston a couple times,
Okay,
but it was for so I used to play in a Motown band that did
okay.
weddings and conventions and stuff when I still lived in Mobile.
Hmm.
So we used to go out to Texas a lot for weddings, or one time it was a Mercedes Benz convention, which was really cool to be in a band like that because you know
Yeah,
choreography and
yeah,
the different styles of songs and the whole act. It was so cool. But we're hoping to get out to Texas a lot next year. Um,
nice,
we're looking forward to that. So
nice. So how long did you do the Motown band thing?
about 2 years. I
Okay,
toured with those guys for about 2 years. It was wild, wearing tuxedos every night.
nice. Now, were you doing like just all Motown music, or was there like a certain band that you were?
So it was a company that
Okay,
managed about four different Motown bands.
okay,
Within those Motown bands, we played every genre of music:
okay,
rock and roll, country, pop, blues, uh, original kind of Motown stuff,
okay.
jazz. Those
Yeah,
those folks were so talented. The musicians and the other singers, it was ridiculous being next to those people. Like it was wild.
nice. And so you did that before you moved to Nashville, and was that kind of that was, I'm guessing, your first taste in like the music industry, so to speak?
It was. I played like local bars in Mobile, and then
Hmm.
I also played fraternities and sororities in Tuscaloosa when I was in school there. That's kind of what started the ball rolling. And yeah, as far as professionally playing and receiving a check for your services,
Yeah.
it was with that Motown band, and I'll always be thankful for them because they gave me a shot, and it was one of the greatest learning experiences playing with pros like that. So,
Nice.
oh yeah.
That's really cool. That they it's those unique experiences that kind of help shape your
Mhm.
musical journey. And it's like now anytime you do interviews and stuff like that, that's just like a cool story to share. So,
It is. It was looking back on it now. At the time, it was hectic, man. We were
mm,
going all over the place, up and down the Gulf Coast, through Florida, through Louisiana, and it was, 4 or 5 shows a week in every state, back and forth. 3 in Mississippi, 2 in Louisiana, 2 up in Houston, back to Louisiana. But at the same time, it does teach you musicianship
mhm.
and performing because they were some of the greatest artists and musicians in the Gulf Coast. So
Nice.
it was it
Yeah.
was a pleasure and a blessing to play with those folks.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of those things where it gives you a whole bunch of benefits, but the fact that it's not technically your project,
Mhm.
it's like you get a reprieve there, but it also gives you a crash course in the okay, like the grind of the music business. It's like, okay, boom, 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 you're going. Like we got contracts, you're going. Stop, you know?
Oh yeah, there was
And
no like slowing down with that. It was either you do this or you're out.
mhm,
I understood that. I would, but it came at you like in a snap. I mean, it was like
nice.
boom, here we go. And but you're right, it does teach you the reality of this business.
Yeah,
It does.
absolutely. Absolutely. Now, was that like a contract basis thing, or was it just like as long as you wanted to keep playing, you were good?
It was contract based, but
Mhm.
it was like about 6 months at a time type of thing. And if every agreement from both parties stayed, then we'd
Yeah,
re-sign for another 6 months and re-sign for another 6 months. So
gotcha, gotcha. Cool, cool, cool. So just kind of outside of music, when you do get to like, it doesn't seem like you get very much free time, but when you do, what do you like to do?
well, hunting season is upon us.
Nice.
So I will be looking for duck. Hopefully, I'll go out to Arkansas. I love going out to Stuttgart.
Hmm.
I want to see Missouri for the first time out there. I like going out to very West Tennessee around Dyersburg. They've got some
Hmm.
great camps out there. So it's just really, it's not even just about the hunting. It's really just about being in the woods
Hmm.
and being on the water and just the silence
Yeah,
and smelling the nature all over again. So that's really what it is. It's a lot of
nice,
peace for me. So
nice. When I was in college, my roommates never did duck like that. That wasn't. I went to school in Illinois, so it was duck wasn't something that they went and hunted. It was always deer,
mhm.
dove, and turkey.
Oh yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
and
I
then every once in a while, coon hunting if they needed to go make some
yeah.
money. So,
Oh, there you go. Yeah. No, I grew up deer hunting.
yeah,
Alabama, that's a rite of passage.
yeah,
So oh yeah.
oh yeah, it's some of the best meat too. I love it. So, like,
Tennessee is fantastic.
I wish I had more friends in Texas that hunted, so
Mhm.
in that way I could kind of like snake some of that deer meat from them. But
Oh yeah. Oh
so
yeah. We got them big old bucks out
oh
there.
yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You see them on the highway, you make sure they don't jump out in front of your car, or
Oh, it's
otherwise you
done.
yeah.
Yeah, it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was out in New Mexico, I almost got ran off the road by an elk. That shit that scared the shit out of me.
That would
Like
have
I was
scared me. Yeah.
yeah. I was like 4 or 5 in the morning. I was coming up a mountain. I was driving up the mountain there in central New Mexico.
Mhm.
And uh I had a water bottle and I went to put it down and I looked up. There was this giant four-legged creature just standing up like 20 feet in front of me. And I just ripped the car like this. And I look back and it's a giant freaking elk sitting behind me. And I'm like, that would have been bad. Very bad.
That
So,
giving me a heart attack, man.
right.
Yeah, that give me a heart attack.
Yeah. So it's the hunting stories and the wild encounters. I'm sure
Mhm.
you have plenty being on the road as much as you have been.
Oh
So
yeah. Oh yeah.
is that the preferred way to go is to drive or do you fly when you get a chance?
I mean, if it makes sense financially,
Mm,
really. I don't mind driving. I really don't. I have gotten so used to it now that I have figured out how to pack a car like Tetris,
yep.
and I have figured out how to make sure to save the water bottles.
Hmm.
Every cent counts.
Yep.
Um, Anything that you want to buy at the store that's food, you make sure you find the generic version of it.
Yep.
So, because it
Yep.
tastes the same in the end, and if it doesn't, it'll be okay.
Yep. Absolutely. I 9 times out of 10, I will just go to the store beforehand and be like, any hankering I think I could want. It's like go to HEB or whatever it is. It's just like, okay, I want this, 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 this. Boom. I just saved myself $40.
Oh yeah,
Cool.
oh yeah. I'm a Costco member, so I
Yeah.
just buy in bulk now.
Right. See, I used to be a Costco member and then I realized that I living in an apartment and then I would just start stacking boxes of stuff in the corner and it's
Yeah,
just like I can't live like this. Like
yeah.
this isn't and half the stuff would go bad before I get to it. So
So much, man. I just have to force myself to just eat at home.
mm,
Like when people want to go out to eat and stuff, I'm like, I've got like 3 pounds of chicken just sitting there. I'm okay. I'll come and hang out though.
yeah, it's
So
like I'll meet you there in an hour. You guys go ahead and eat and
yeah,
I'll be
tell
there
me
for
when
drink.
that platter hits the table, and I'll do the exact same, and then
Yeah,
I'll meet you after. Right.
right. That's so funny. That's great. So cool. Kind of looking forward. Obviously, you said you got the music and you're going to try and do shows and whatnot.
Mhm.
Um, do you feel like your music is where you want it to be? Do you feel like you were at when you first started like writing and doing your own music, you feel like you're at where you thought you'd be at this point?
The 8 years in Nashville will teach you a lot. It will
Mhm.
humble you every day,
Right.
sometimes every second. And I have been very fortunate to sit in rooms with very, very talented songwriters.
Mhm.
Songwriters that you give them an idea and they got a song in 10 minutes. And I'm
Yep.
sitting there going, how did you do that?
Yep.
But at the same time, if you're smart in this business, you ask them how they're doing this.
Mhm.
And as much as I love performing, I have come to love writing songs,
Yes.
whether it's for me or someone else, because it really is, the whole process is so cool. The way you lay a melody structure out, the way you get the hook, the way the puzzle pieces all kind of fit together.
Mm.
It's so cool how that works. And then when you finish that final product after, sometimes it need edits, sometimes it doesn't at all.
Yeah.
It's just so cool. And then when you go to say a showcase or you go to someone's show that has your song on the set list
Yeah.
and you hear that being played and you're in the crowd, I don't know which is better, playing a song that you've wrote or listening to someone else play a song that you've written. I don't
That
know.
that is a toss up. Like,
Like that's so cool to hear.
right. And I could see why that is, for me, just an outsider looking in, it would almost have to be hearing somebody else play your music,
Right.
just because that means there was two parties that thought the song was good enough to play.
Right. Like they were just as proud of the song that I was.
Yep.
And that when they finally put a band to it and arrange it the
Yep.
way they feel like they want to arrange it, hearing their version, you're like, oh, this is killer.
Right.
It really is it's a shock, but it's so cool. So,
Yeah.
but either or, but like, yeah, it's a cool experience being able to write full time as well as playing because
Yes.
you really see the other side of this business. And Nashville is very much a songwriter town.
Hmm.
That
Yeah.
is what people come here for. As much as there are artists, there are many more songwriters.
Oh yeah, for sure. And what I like about Nashville is that, and it went away for a little bit. Like I think that for a long, of at least a few years there was like a stigma of not playing your own music, of like, oh, somebody else wrote this song. I feel like there might have been a little bit of a stigma there. But nowadays it just kind of feels like everybody's not trying to force the fact
Mm,
I have to perform my own music, because you may have an idea for a song that's really good, but it doesn't fit your style,
exactly.
you know?
That's totally okay.
Yeah.
If the song is written for more of someone else's voice or someone
Hmm.
else's brand or
Yep.
style, by all means,
Go for it.
by
Yeah.
all means,
And
just make sure you put my name next to you when it says written by, and I'll be
right.
totally okay. Yeah.
Right. And by playing other people's music, you're feeding the ecosystem.
Mhm. And that's what it is.
Yeah.
It is a networking system in this town. And
Yep.
as much as there is competition, and there's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
We're all in competition. But at the same time, if you find a great group that you can really hunker down with and
Hmm.
you know that each other has each other's best interest and just wants to drive and are
Hmm.
career driven, then you're going to be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And you brought up the competition aspect to it, and I've had this conversation a couple different times, but it just, from what I've seen, it feels like it's healthy competition. It's not this toxic, oh, I'm gonna slit your tires so you don't show up to that gig you work super hard for.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it
I mean,
happens, but
I'm sure it's
it's
happened once or twice, but for the most part, it's a very much respect
mhm,
type of career. If we see a guy that's been grinding, guy, girl, whoever, just that's been
mm,
grinding on Broadway for years, right?
mhm,
And we see that song hit the radio, we're nothing but happy because
mhm,
then that means one, they definitely deserved it.
yeah,
Two, it gives me a chance.
yeah, oh yeah,
It says, okay, it is possible. Keep grinding.
oh yeah.
So,
I feel for those musicians on Broadway that play the endless 4 hour gigs. And
mhm,
it's like, I've driven down Broadway. I don't usually, when I come to Nashville, I stay as far away from Broadway as I can, but that's also because I like being within earshot of my car. So if I need to get out of a situation, I can. Whereas Broadway doesn't make it always that easy. Unless you want to pay $20 an hour or whatever their insane parking prices are. So, you know,
Broadway's a beast.
it is.
It's a
It
beast.
really is.
And it has taught me a lot my years of playing down there.
Mm-hmm.
It has. It's made me a better musician. It's got my chops up as a musician and a performer because you are going up against the same honky tonk has three other floors with great musicians playing on both those floors,
Yeah.
above you, below you, in between you. So you have to bring it for
Yep.
4 hours every show. And the moment you slip, well, someone else is in line waiting for that gig that's not
Yep.
going to.
Yep.
And
100%.
oh yeah, so that definitely keeps you driven. It
I
does.
never understood how they pull that off where they have multiple bands playing in one bar.
They have figured it out.
It like just the noise would drive me nuts.
It
So
can be loud. It can be
yeah,
a lot of a sensory overload
yeah,
sometimes.
for sure. For
But
sure.
at the same time, you just got to learn how to meditate.
Nice. Yeah, for sure. So if anybody wants to check out your music, shows as they come out, your new music as it comes out, social media, stuff like that, where's the best place to find you?
So at Danny Spiro, Spirodanny. And you can find me at Danny Spiro on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music, iTunes, whatever you prefer, YouTube. My website's at dannyspiro.com, www. And we're growing fast with that
Mm.
website. So that's got all the tour dates, all the shows coming up. You can sign up for my newsletter that keeps you up to date with everything, which is really cool that we got that rolling now. And that's pretty much it. Facebook's Danny Spiro Music. So
Nice. What's the preferred social platform?
all of them.
It's a tough question, but
That is a tough question. That's a good question. Right now, our Instagram is doing very well,
mhm,
and our TikTok is building fast. Our Facebook has always been solid, just
mhm.
because it's been years now since
Yeah.
we've been on it. But it's really wild how
Yeah.
all this works. It is.
It there's a new trick to Facebook that I'm trying to figure out right now
Please
because
tell me.
like it's one of those things where I'm sure you've noticed it. Like we grew on Facebook, like we built our name off of Facebook,
Hmm?
and we went from like no followers on Facebook to I think we're at like 8 or 9,000 right now, and our interactions over the last year have just kind of fallen into the toilet. And I post multiple times a day.
Yeah, the algorithm, as they say,
Yeah,
is way be over my head.
yeah,
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 way
yeah.
over my head. But
It,
you just got to keep posting and got to
right.
keep putting content out, because as artists now, and you're very much in this business,
Hmm.
you're content creators.
Yep.
Whether you like it or not, you have
Yep.
turned into a content creator. And that's just the business. That's what it is, and that's fine. But I think it's hard for a lot of entertainers to now realize that.
Yeah.
So,
It's it's just the aspect, and it's one of those things where it's like, especially like musicians like yourself that are out playing so much, like it probably feels a little bit easier to create that content because when you're on the road, that content just kind of it's like, oh, we're in the home of the world's largest yarn ball, or like whatever it is, some random roadside attraction. Let's go
oh,
make a TikTok about it,
oh yeah, yeah.
So
That is the one plus about being a working musician,
yeah,
is that there's always something crazy going on,
right.
whether it's on the car, in the road on the car, or in some town in where were we? Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin, which I had a great time out there. I
Right.
really did. The content was endless.
Yeah.
Wisconsin folks are so much fun. The lakes are huge. I had never been to the Midwest before. So I'm sitting here getting 1,000 videos in 10 minutes.
Hmm. That's why I like going to music festivals because it's like not only can you just get 60 seconds of somebody playing times how many ever musicians they got. And then if you want to get multiple of the same, it's like, boom, you've got enough content for forever right there, you
Right.
know?
Right.
So it's when you're out on the road, it's a little bit easier, but now it's like, now that I'm kind of getting back into the swing of getting back out on the road, it's like, oh, look out, folks. It's going to get crazy.
Yeah, we're
So
coming for you, as they say.
I am literally mapping out right now. So I'm driving from Waco, Texas, and I got to go pick up my buddy. He lives in Roswell, New Mexico, when we go out to Tucson here in a few weeks. And I'm like, all right, what are the craziest roadside attractions between here and there? We need to stop. So, yeah.
Right. Hey, Roswell.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I lived in Roswell for 4 years, so
Yeah.
that one just kind of, I'm immune to that attraction,
Do that for days still, though.
right? Well, yeah, and actually, it's better now than when I lived there. Like, I went there, was it like 2 months ago? I drove out there to go visit my buddy, and it's actually kind of trying to turn into a tourist town. Like, they're trying to be tourist friendly. Like
Mhm.
when I lived there, it was like if you had alien anything in your window, it was just kind of like, oh, really? Come on, guy. That's kind of how the locals looked at it. And I was like, no, that's smart businessing. What are you guys doing?
Yeah, that's what I'd be doing. I'd have an alien store. I'd have some sort of like sightseeing you could
Yeah.
do.
Oh, yeah. It's the hotel I stayed at had a giant spaceship. It was actually quite funny because it was dog chained to the handicap the sign for the handicap parking. And I was like,
Really.
that's funny because they were so worried about people stealing it. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I guess that tracks. That tracks. So, but it's is there a place that you haven't been to that you'd really like to go to?
I'd like to see the world a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to go to Australia. That was always been a bucket list for me. I'd like to go see Sydney and
Yes.
go tour the outback a little bit. I want to
Okay.
play for folks down there. I know the country music scene is really big down there.
Mm-hmm. It
So
is.
if I can somehow wiggle my way down to Australia, that would be the goal. But until then, man, I'd like to see all 50 states. I'd like to
Yeah.
play all 50 of them.
Nice.
And we got a few down, so but we got a lot more to go.
Right? I feel like you just book a East Coast tour, you'll knock out probably about 15 of them in a one swing.
Oh
So,
yeah. We'll play 2 shows a day, 2 different states if we need to.
right, right,
Oh yeah.
right. So, but it's been an absolute blast chatting with you. Really appreciate this conversation. And anytime you want to come back on, please hit me up.
Likewise.
And I'll definitely let you know. I'll be out in Nashville in February for CRS. So,
Awesome, man.
yeah.
Please give me a holler when you get down here.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully I'll catch a show or, like whatever it is. And
Yeah, please,
yeah,
please, man. And thank you so much for having me on the show. It's an honor to be here.
yeah, absolutely. And once again, thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will catch y'all later.